Hi. So I've been watching a lot of testimonies on YouTube, and they're very encouraging. And I recently thought that it might be a good idea to upload my own testimony so that others might be encouraged. And I hope that this helps somebody out there. Let's see where to start. So I grew up in a Christian home, and my grandmother was the one who actually introduced me to the plan of salvation. She had one of those little booklets that shows that we're on one side and God is on the other, and sin has separated us, and then the cross is like bridges the gap, right? And I was at 6 at the time that she showed me that, and I was like, wow, Jesus sounds really cool. And I had been going to church, and so I kind of understood. And so I decided I wanted to get saved, and so I prayed the prayer of salvation with her, and as you do, and I got baptized shortly afterwards. Then throughout my childhood, I attended something called Bible Study Fellowship, which was I don't know if well, you can look it up if you don't know what it is, but it's basically just a Bible study program for children and adults. Meet once a week, blah blah blah, and through that I learned a lot about who God was and who Jesus was, and really got immersed in the Word. And I really growing up toward getting towards middle school, there were times where I would read my Bible. I remember not very many times, unfortunately, but a few times at the beginning of lunch. At the beginning of the day in the cafeteria before classes started, I would bring my Bible and read a few chapters of something or other. And I remember it always just made me feel a lot more at peace, and gave me a perspective for the day. And it was around middle school that I started to drift away. I believe that that's a time where, children are really changing, and they're really vulnerable to Satan's lies. And so, and there's a lot of stuff that there's no way that you could be prepared for it, But my advice to anybody who is in middle school or is in going through puberty and stuff like that, just stick with Jesus, because continue to seek Him, and don't be, as you will discover from the rest of this video, the path of the world leads nowhere and leads to emptiness, and sin leads to death. Both of the soul, you'll feel dead on this earth. Even though you might be temporarily satisfied, you'll feel dead in your soul, and then you'll actually perish in, well, that sounds a little intense, but that's what happens. I mean, the wages of sin is death. And it sounds harsh, but God is holy and perfect, and so that's why He had to send Jesus. But anyway, that's my advice to anyone currently in middle school or high school. Just if your friends are involved in anything that you shouldn't be doing, just pick better friends, or make Jesus your best friend. Spend time with Him every day by reading the Word, and truly seeking Him out in prayer, because without the Holy Spirit, the Bible is just words on a page, and so His Spirit will teach you and guide you if you ask. He is there for you. Anyway, I got off on a tangent. But yeah, so in middle school, I started to notice weird things happening. I started to notice that when I would like see a picture of a muscular guy, it would give me like weird feelings, and I was like, "What the heck is going on?" Because um, I remember that there was like an Abercrombie and Fitch bag in school one day, I think in sixth grade, and there was like this really sexual picture on it, and it was of a guy, and I was like, "This is weird." Anyway, um, yeah, the world is pretty corrupt, and like, um, it's so easy for like children to be exposed to that sort of thing today. Anyway, that's another tangent. So, um, basically, I started to get the feeling that I was gay, I guess, um, in the way that I would like feel towards other guys, um, and uh, you know, really just physically, not really anything else. It's just like a lust thing, and I was like, "What the heck is going on?" Um, but my parents found out about it when I was 13, and like asked me about to tell them more about it. But they were very like kind and understanding, and I was like crying, uh, just like I don't know why I have these feelings, you know. Uh, and they were very understanding, and I never really did anything with those feelings because that um, I knew that based on the Bible, like we have control over our actions, um, and we just because we feel like we have to do something doesn't mean that we have to do it. We always have control. Everything is a choice, right? So even if you have those feelings, like you don't have to act on them. Uh, but yeah, and so that was kind of my philosophy for the next 2 years, and then long story short, I met this guy when I was 15, and like uh, he was also, or he had come out as gay, and I was kind of, I ended up dating him eventually, and it was really destructive for like my family. Like um, my parents didn't like it, but it was because I was doing things with him that 15-year-olds shouldn't be doing, right? Uh, and so it was awful. And looking back on it, I'm just like totally, uh, I was an idiot. But I was also 15, and I thought that I was like such an adult, but no. Anyway, um, he was an atheist, and so for a time I also adopted that philosophy because I was like, well, you know, God doesn't love me because I'm gay, so um, you know, so I guess I just don't want to have anything to do with him, you know. And I'll get to that later on because that is such a lie. And yeah, okay. So that relationship lasted about a year and a half and steadily got more like a normal relationship by the world standards, I guess. It got, I don't know, it felt a little more romantic, I guess, but in the end, like, I still felt guilty about being with him. There was always this feeling that I couldn't shake. No matter how many times I tried to, like, um, use the opinions of other people to justify whether or not homosexuality was wrong. Um, or, like, every time that I looked at the Bible, it seems obvious that it's just not a part of God's plan, you know? Um, and so eventually I broke up with him, and I was like, because I couldn't shake the guilt, you know? and and then shortly thereafter, I developed a relationship with a girl that was very codependent and unhealthy throughout like the end of college, or sorry, the end of high school and the beginning of my college years. It was very bad. Um, yeah, I don't want to go into details to embarrass anybody, but basically, we would have said that we were Christian, but we were very hypocritical in the things that we did, um, continuing to live in sin and not truly following God, you know. And at that time, I started to get more into like um, searching into other philosophies like Eastern like mysticism and self-induced hypnosis and um, kind of new agey stuff, I guess. I wasn't super into it, but I was kind of just looking around for anything that could bring me peace, I guess, like thinking that maybe Jesus wasn't the answer. Because the more that I continued to like live in sin with my girlfriend at the time and just in the things I was doing in college, uh, which escalated, and I'll tell you more about that, it was just clear that that was not the right thing to do. Um, and I drifted, well, it wasn't clear to me at the time, but I drifted farther away from God. So, um, and yeah, I'm sorry, this video is going to be really long because I didn't plan it at all, but I promise we'll get to the redemption part. um, so I ended that relationship with that girl too because I was like, honestly, I was like, I don't really feel satisfied. I think I am gay. Like, I think I need to date guys. So around the time that I ended the relationship with her, um, it was weird. We were in a very codependent relationship, and so I didn't really talk to or hang out with anyone else but her. And so when I broke up with her, I was very lonely. And so I started to get to know some new friends from my classes, um, and I made some cool friends. And I tried to like, uh, I kind of filled that void by spending time with them. And then those friends, a couple months after I started hanging out with them, and this is like at the end of my sophomore year. Um, yeah, I went to my first like college party with alcohol and stuff, and I was very like terrified at the time. Not because I was like trying not to sin, which is what I should have been doing, but just because I was like very timid, you know, and shy, and I didn't want to talk to strangers, which is another thing God has like totally changed.